Hi, welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. I'm your host, Dane Tony. In this episode, I interview a very special guest, Kalyn Benaroya from Dirtastic. We talk about who Kalyn is, what Dirtastic is, how it got started, and we talk about all the fun, exciting events she has planned for the upcoming year. We talk about what it's like being a female in the moto industry, how Kalyn trains, and all sorts of good stuff. We also refer to the grit ride a lot, and I wanted to give you a little context as to what the grit is for those that may have never heard of it before. The grit is a tour that Kalyn, myself, Kate Shade, Courtney Felt, and Jamie Parks, who made it 2 days, completed last summer. We were the first female team to complete a grit tour in true grit fashion. Whoop, whoop. It was a 600 plus mile ride through Idaho, mostly single track, unsupported. It was awesome. Anyways, we recorded a separate podcast about this experience. So if you have any interest in learning more about the grit, check out podcast episode number 11 called First All-Female Team to Complete a Idaho Grit Tour with Kate Shade and Dane Tony, where we go into detail about the grit. That one is with me and Kate, and we just talk all about the grit. Before we get into the podcast, we have a special Enduro Method promo going for our podcast listeners. Enduro Method is an online strength and conditioning platform designed for increasing fitness for dirt bikers, and we are giving 50% off your first month of Enduro Method subscription by using code ENDURO2022. You can find a link in the promo code in the podcast description. Okay, without further ado, please enjoy my interview with Kalyn Benaroya from Dirtastic. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. Dane Tony here with Kalyn Benaroya. Hi, Kalyn.
Hey.
Kalyn is owner and founder of Dirtastic. And today we're just going to chat, find out a little bit about Kalyn, what Dirtastic is, some upcoming events, and all that good stuff. So we'll start out. Who is Kalyn Benaroya?
Whoa, that's a big question. So I'm Kalyn Benaroya, born and raised in Portland, Oregon, and I live in Hood River, which is just an hour east. If you haven't been there, it's beautiful, and you should probably go. I am 38, and my career in my past life was a hairstylist and salon owner, and just a year ago left that part of my life to pursue Dirtastic full time. And Dirtastic is, I'm sure we'll probably get more into that, but the basic deal is that I run dirt bike clinics and events for women. And then what else is here? I started riding dirt bikes 12 years ago. So it's not a lifelong deal, but.
What got you started in dirt bikes?
Well, my husband, a year ago, 12 years ago on Valentine's Day was my first ride.
So 12 years ago to the T.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy.
Did you guys do a Valentine's Day reunion ride?
No, we didn't. No, sadly. But It was our first Valentine's Day together in a really long time. So that was great.
Nice. And where are you sitting right now?
I am sitting at our house in Todos Santos in Baja California in Mexico. So I'm feeling pretty lucky to be in the warmth because I'm in a tank top and you are in a puffy.
And I'm in a
sorry to rub it in.
I know. So if you hear that's rubbing around, it's Dean's puffy jacket. Nice. That's awesome. So, what sparked you to, or I guess let's go into what is Dirtastic? Like more details.
More details about Dirtastic. So Dirtastic is, like I said, events and clinics for women in dirt biking. We do a lot of dirt bike training. I have tours that we do throughout the year well, we will be doing more throughout the year, and then some other events that get tossed in there. So it's just a big mix now of a variety of ways to engage women in riding dirt bikes at all levels. I want to make sure that there's more than just one time, right? Like, so if a woman comes to an event, that we offer something that has variety so that she can continue to come, because there are a lot of women who don't get to ride with other women very, very often. So it's been pretty cool to see the community growing within Dirtastic and like nationally and globally with women who ride. I mean, it's just really on fire right now. So that's like the basic of Dirtastic. It started, or I started Dirtastic in I think it was 2017. I'm pretty sure 2017. And what I had noticed is so I started riding at 26, and I was always with the guys, which is super cool. I still love riding with the guys, great times. And I had some really great coaches. Pat, my husband, is one of them. Rory Sullivan was a huge coach for me, and a few other guys that we rode with a lot. So I learned a lot from really great riders. I kind of just was wanting, like when I would show up to a race, I would be really nervous and scared to talk to the other women who were there because I didn't know them and I had never ridden with them. And I'm not like I'm not like the person that's just going to walk up to someone and say hi. Or I should say, before Dirtastic, I wasn't that way. Now I'm like the annoying person that says hi to everyone. Or all the women at least. So that was just something that I had noticed that I was feeling. And then I tore my ACL at a race in 2014 or 2015. And it was 2015. And so for my rehab from the surgery, I was mountain biking a lot. And Hood River has a really cool group of women who meet up every Wednesday night and go for a mountain bike ride. And what was so cool is that we were able to talk and laugh and chat. And I was terrible at mountain biking at the time, like terrible. I could go downhill all right, but like climbing, I thought I was just going to die. So I would try to keep up because I'm competitive. And eventually I got better and better and better and was able to ride with some of the better women in the group. I mean, I was riding with everyone, but it was really cool to be able to keep up. And someone encouraged me to try racing. So through that, I started racing enduro mountain biking and had a lot of fun doing that. Met a lot of really cool women. So that feeling, that experience, that community that I had through mountain biking, I decided that I wanted to share that with women in dirt biking. And so I went to a local motorcycle shop, Fun Country Power Sports in the Dalles, and they had been sponsoring me while I was racing. And I said, hey, like, I want to do this event. What do you think? And Mike was like, yep, all right. So, but what are you going to call it? And I had been thinking of it, of course. So I was like, I had to come up with a crafty name. And so I just told him, I go, I don't know, what do you like, Dirtastic? Is that too like cheesy? And he was like, that's it. That's it. So then we had our first all women's ride. It was just a community ride in Dallasport at a private track, Dallasport, Washington, which is just east of Hood River, Oregon. And we had our first ride. I think we had like 75 women. I mean, it was a pretty good turnout. And this was before, like social media was super popular for this. And so that was great. And it's just evolved since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't some things in there that I didn't even know.
Well, there you go. I'll tell you my whole story.
I guess I should have said it earlier, but for those of you who don't know, I actually coached for Kalyn, and we met through Dirtastic through me signing up for a Dirtastic clinic. I think it was the Empire of Dirt
Yes.
in
It was
Coeur
our
d'Alene.
first Empire of Dirt. Yep.
Yeah.
In
And it was just
2020.
yeah, super impactful for me and my riding, and just getting to learn from women was definitely a game changer for me. But anyways, that's a little bit about our history, and Kalyn's history about the whole mountain bike scene and everything too. So, what is it like being a woman and having a women-led company in the moto industry?
It's great. I like it. I feel like right now is a really cool time to be a woman in the motorsports industry, specifically dirt biking, off-road dirt biking, because there's a lot of change happening. So I really like it. It's being a hairstylist, being behind the chair. I've primarily worked with women for the past 20 years. So I feel like as much as the two worlds are completely opposite, there are so many things that I do in either career choice that are fluid and very seamless. So I know it sounds kind of wild to say that, but so much of what I am doing is working with women to help them feel more confident in themselves. And that's whether it's their hair and how they look and how they feel, or on and off their dirt bike. Because coaching dirt biking, yeah, like, so you get a skill, that's super cool and you're more confident on your dirt bike. But I know for a fact, and I know Dan, you'll agree with this, that the more confidence that we build on the dirt bike, it translates into real life. And I think that that's a really powerful thing that maybe a lot of people don't really think about, but I see it. It's very visible. And so to be able to influence that and to be able to work with women on it's a deeper level than just coaching someone to ride their bikes, right? Or
Totally.
bring people together. There's like a lot more. So that's great. It's really it impacts my life too. It makes me want to be better and to also become more confident in who I am and what I'm doing. Working on the back end of Dirtastic, so working within the industry and the brands that support us, and just kind of like having conversations that aren't necessarily outward public conversations also is really cool. I feel really excited, or I feel really excited, but I feel honored to be able to have those conversations. And I feel that there's a lot of respect that's coming my way, which is really great. Because I think that, like I said, it's a really good time to be a female in motorsports. And I say that because I look at other male dominated industries, snowboarding, mountain biking, you can see patterns, and we are in a pattern and maybe a lot behind some of the other sports. But I think that there's a lot of really neat things coming our way, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years in this industry for women specifically.
It's been crazy to see even just the growth since I started. I feel like every year new girls are hopping on dirt bikes and trying it out and sticking with it too, it's awesome.
And like getting good.
Yeah.
Like really good at riding, like whatever type of riding they're doing. I'm just blown away at the progression, because I feel like it took me a really long time to get to a certain point.
Agreed.
So like where I'm still trying to get to.
So besides the confidence piece, which is like definitely the home run of all Dirtastic events and gatherings, what kind of skills are you guys teaching, or are we teaching at like any of the Dirtastic events?
So
like
there's
the
a couple
basics?
different styles of events. So we have the fundamental session. I think there's 3 this year, maybe 4. The schedule's all like blurred right now in my eyes. So the fundamentals session is for riders who are a level Dirtastic level 1 to 3, which is more like beginner novice level riders. Everyone does have to provide their own dirt bike. Unfortunately, I don't have dirt bikes to give people. That would be like a whole nother amazing program. But that session is like the fundamentals. You learn how to go and stop and turn and maneuver your bike in a safe way. And I think the biggest thing at that session that I definitely hit on is like clutch control, because your clutch is so important. Just knowing what it does to the engine and or what it doesn't do. So that is the fundamentals where the basics are taught. And I think that that's really important. We do get some people who have ridden for some time and they come to the fundamentals sessions, and it does take them back to the basics. But I think that it's important because a lot of these women maybe never learned how to use their rear brake or their front brake, or what is the clutch? I don't even know what it does. I just know I'm supposed to pull it in sometimes. Like there's just a lot of misses in the learning when we learn from somebody that just says, yeah, go. Or maybe they learned as a kid and they're back on the bike as an adult, but they didn't actually learn how to safely maneuver the bike. So it's really great. If you don't have the fundamentals, it's really hard to go to progress very far, because generally it leads to injury, unfortunately, if you don't know how to safely use your bike. So that's that. And it's amazing to see the progression and their smiles and like the aha moments. It's really cool. All of our sessions, we get that. But the fundamentals, are just something extra special about them, about the classes. So I know a lot of the coaches really enjoy coaching that clinic specifically because it is very fulfilling. Then we have enduro sessions, which are focused on levels 3 or 4 to 7, depending on the location. And those sessions are for more of your intermediate to expert level riders who ride woods or off-road like trails and want to learn to become better hill climbers or descenders, or manage and navigate switchbacks, log crossings. Like getting that front tire up is really, really challenging for a lot of women, or they've been too scared to try it because it's a wheelie technically, right? So someone hears a wheelie and they think like, oh my God, 12 o'clock wheelie, there's no way. Well, that's not what we're coaching. That's a whole different set of skills that some of us are still maybe not. I don't know if I ever want to do a 12 o'clock wheelie, but maybe.
Working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a party trick for me. So it's not like a necessary thing, but learning how to get the front tire off the ground to get over obstacles is necessary when you're riding and racing off-road. It could be just getting over a root wall. Just having that knowledge is super crucial. So we focus a lot on more technical skills at the enduro sessions. And each location provides something unique. So you mentioned the Empire of Dirt. Jamie has a really, really great setup there. She has something that covers all of those things that I mentioned. But then we've had other locations that may have more focused on getting speed and learning how to go over the logs, but maybe we'll skip practicing in the matrix, or just a different type of technical feature is in place. So each location is unique to what they have to offer. Then what else do we have? We've had desert sessions in the past. This year I think we may have one in the fall, which is more desert riding, fast and whoops and that kind of faster, high speed technical riding. Then there's also like coming up in March, we have a speed training camp, and that is all of these are intended for off-roaders. So whether we're at the motocross track or the speed training camp, it is intended for like woods riders to become more confident handling your bike in a rough situation or at speeds, or if there's whoops or sand. Like turning in sand is a whole different ball game, right? So we want to just bring those elements to the table and give opportunities to share that with everyone. So hopefully that was a long-winded answer.
That's a good answer. Do you do motocross specifically, like all stuff on a track? You have in the past?
We will have a motocross session in April, and it's at a private track. And so we'll go over jumping, cornering, starts, which, you know, if you're doing an off-road race, you got to learn how to start. So we do that. Whoops. A lot of, you know, if you're racing a GP race, you're going to encounter a motocross track most of the time or something similar. So I feel that, well, and also like cornering, when you're on a motocross track, you get to practice it over and over. Where on a trail, like you might hit that one corner, that one ride, and then if you happen to go back to that riding area again, yeah, you might hit it again. But on a motocross track, you really get a condensed time to really focus, and you get to ride these elements repeatedly. So I think motocross is really, really beneficial to off-road riders, and I know that it's made a difference for my riding 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And then
how do you ride motocross?
You've seen my wheels come off the ground just barely.
Yeah.
I need to do one of those, as you know. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely use some help in that department. Kalyn and Jamie have been kind enough to teach me how to jump, or at least showed me how to leave the ground intentionally.
We'll just talk to the Extreme Enduro series and ask them to not put any jumps in.
Yeah, please avoid.
We saw what happened last year.
On it, like the setup jumps and me don't go hand in hand. So another thing I think I saw you doing is a trials thing this year with Kylie. That's new this year?
Yes. So we did a little test run last summer and had some success. So this year, I asked Kylie, she's one of our coaches this year. And she's also just really incredible. Kylie Sweeten, that is, if you aren't sure who we're talking about. She is like one of the top trials women, I think, in the world. So to have her in our backyard is pretty cool. And I invited her to do a trials session with the intention of transferring those skills to enduro riding. So it's really for people who are out riding and racing on technical terrain like you and I really enjoy, but learning some techniques on the trials bike so they can take it home and practice it and then transfer it to the big bike. So, and that's coming up. That one actually sold out really quick. So that's
not surprised.
Yeah, right. I know. March 12th.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, with the, you know, the up and coming, or like the more and more people getting involved in enduro and hard enduro specifically, you realize how involved trials is and all those little things. So I think having that is awesome, especially having it transfer to the big bike. That's huge.
Right. Very and exciting. Kylie knows. I mean, she totally crushed in the Enduro series last year, so the Extreme Enduro series. So I think that also makes me really excited because she can talk about like, oh, well, in this scenario at this race, this was really helpful for me. And she can relate it because a lot of the women actually who are signed up have raced, most of them have raced Silver Mountain or ride in the local areas.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So speaking of badass women, do you have any mentors in the sport that help like set you on this path of Dirtastic?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
All the
totally. My
ladies.
husband, but no, I don't have any ladies. Do I? Do I have any ladies? Well, Kate Shade. I mean, come on. Like the first time I met her, I was like, oh, that's how you ride. Okay. So she's just unreal. And then getting to know her better this last summer during the grit, and watching her ride, and that she had like full knobbies left at the end of the trip and didn't spin her tire once. Like, who does that in over 600 miles? Like the rest of us, I don't know what we were doing, but she's pretty incredible. So I would say she's been just someone that kind of on that like outer perimeter for me that I've known. Jamie Wells or Jamie Brown, she got married and changed her name. She's always been just such a badass. And so I remember seeing her and Sarah Redfield. They were at a race, it was like a downpour in Tillamook. And if you ride in that area, you know that a downpour in Tillamook means a super good time, but also really challenging. They were riding the full course. And I was like, I don't even think I made it like halfway through the short course. And I was just like, whoa, enamored by these two women. They're so incredible. And then getting to know them, they're just really, they've been inspiring. So I think that they helped me want to race the long course, want to race in the men's class or the unisex class, whatever you want to call it. So those women, without being like super connected to them, I guess Jamie I have been. But the people who have inspired me the most, my husband, Pat Corelli, has been unbelievably supportive and listens to me all the time when I have a question. And he's like, I should put his name on the whole thing because he's so helpful. And he like changes my tires or something that I need. And I'm like, I just don't have time. But he's been super helpful. And Rory Sullivan, he was a huge inspiration for me, and kind of, definitely inspired me to go for it with Dirtastic originally. We did an event together. The second event we ever did, or that Dirtastic ever did, he worked with me on, and I think I really appreciate that. He kind of went out on a limb, and now, being an all women's deal, it's all women. So we've just gone that route. And I could go, I guess I do have a lot more women that have inspired me, because every single coach that I've worked with inspires me like beyond belief, because I've gotten to know them and are all of you. And I get to see like what Dirtastic means to you and how it also affects each of you. And that is really cool. So blah, 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 but I guess I could go on about that question with that answer.
So let's talk about the main event. So last year when I started coaching, you didn't have the main event last year or the year before, correct? Because of COVID.
COVID shut the world down like the day before. No, the day of.
I actually remember 2020, like I was planning to go, and then it was pretty suddenly canceled.
It's pretty hairball. Yeah. Yeah. And I had to cancel last minute because the logistics with like all of that. So it was.
But it's back this year.
It's back. So the last time we had the main event was in 2019. It was at Washougal, which was super fun, super cool. And this year we're going to be in Southern Oregon at a place called Johns Peak, which is totally perfect for the main event. There's trails for all levels. There's marked trails, there's unmarked trails. It's all private property. It's 1,200 acres. I think that's what it is, of private property. So cool. Whatever's on the map is just like a guideline to what is there, because there are trails everywhere. And it's in the mountains. So it's a really cool opportunity and space for us to use. And if anyone's doing the AMA West Hare Scrambles, they will be doing a race. I think it's the same weekend as Page. So the last weekend in March. And so it's a legit spot that can hold a lot of people.
And so will there be like sessions broken down, or like what's like, okay, I sign up and I'm coming. What do you get?
What are you going to do? So, well, I'm about to announce or like release the tickets soon. Any day now, I promise. The suspense is killing me too. But it's looking as though we will have four different ticket types, maybe five. We'll have a general admission where you get to come to the main event and you get a free ride as much as you want, and you can hang out and you can go on some like group rides, but no coaching. We'll take some people out. Just if someone shows up and they don't know anyone, we want to make sure to make everyone feel comfortable and not feel like they're going to get lost. You'll get swag bag, access to, Husqvarna will be there. Husqvarna motorcycles will be there with some demos. So you'll be able to have access to try out a fresh
cool
bike. Yeah. And meet and greet. Louise Forsley will be there. She'll be doing clinics, but then also we'll have some meet and greets and hang out at night, have a sweet camp out with your favorite moto gang. So that's like the basic ticket, right? Like no frills. And then we'll have an option where you can get one session, which is an hour and a half of your choice of what you choose. So it could be like working on hill climbs and descents, cornering, which includes switchbacks, getting over logs. There's a few others. Party tricks. There's one called party tricks. And then there's in that you'll get all the other things also. And then there's a 3 session option. So you get to choose 3 1.5 hour sessions of your choice. And those will all be signed, like you will be able to sign up for those closer to the date. And it will be first come, first serve based on when you actually purchased your ticket. So just trying to make it feel good for everyone that they get the class that they want. So priority to all of you who sign up first. And then there will be a fundamental session, which will be 4 hours in length that you can purchase with your general admission ticket. And also a session with Louise Forsley. So those level 5 and up advanced expert riders, we also have something for you, and that's with Louise. So there's some really cool options there, really something for everyone. You can just make the weekend what you want it.
Cool. So beginners, advanced, no matter what level you're at.
Yep. So you do have to bring your own bike. That's the requirement, because again, I don't have that capability. Although I am working on a potential to have bikes there, but I can't promise anything right now.
What about and everyone can camp on site?
Yes, camping is on site. It's a part of your ticket. So we're just asking, if your rig is over, I think 35 feet or 30 feet. So we know where to put the big rigs. But it's dry camping all throughout the not all throughout the property, but there will be like a main parking area and then little nooks and crannies where people can camp under the trees. So it'll feel good. It's not just like a big parking lot.
Cool. This is going to be so fun. I am
really
looking
for the
forward to it.
ladies. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's for the ladies only. So pretty please leave like your kids and pets and the guys at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll help you. We'll
help you.
We'll man up.
We'll man up. Yeah. We'll man up.
Yeah, we'll man up. Cool. That's very exciting. I am very excited for this one.
Yes, all of our
especially
coaches will be there,
one.
except for Kylie, which I'm so sad about, but she'll be doing really cool things in the trials world. So we
forgive her.
give her a little leeway there, but we'll have our whole coaching team as well. So it will be the only event we're all together for in 2022. Yeah.
How about your plans personally for racing this year? Anything? Touchy subject?
Well, since Paige, the Extreme Enduro is happening in 4 weeks, I'm terrified. I think I start sweating and panicking every time. So my hand is, see that pinky? It bends, so that's good. So it's feeling pretty good. I had hand surgery almost 6 months ago. Or maybe
what'd you do to your hand?
Oh, I tore the ligament that bends the tip of my pinky down, and also makes it helps you grip, which your pinky is 70% of your grip. Who would have thought? But when you don't have it, you learn. And so I had that tendon repaired September 1st. And I tore it during the grit with Dave.
I was gonna say, how'd you tear it?
How? I was in Idaho.
What day was that on? That was like day 3, I think.
It was day 3. It was the morning of day 3. We were leaving Idaho City after our luxurious fuel stop. And while all of you were messing around with your bags on your fenders and having really bizarre things happen.
She's really referring to me.
Yeah. Well, everyone was having like floppy, weird bags happening that day, but I didn't. I didn't use a rear fender bag. Thank God. And I was just whooping along. It was like pretty motocrossy and super fun. And then pop. And I was like, oh, that's never a good sign.
I remember you being like, my finger just popped. But that was like,
yeah, that's weird. I was like, I don't know, but it was straight. It wouldn't bend. It was weird. And then I was riding, and it would just stick out. So I was like, with my finger here and this finger just hanging out. Not good.
So this was day 3 of a 5-day trip. So she rode with it. Well, for 2.5 more days.
Like long days.
No complaints.
Maybe I complained once. I had a little mini meltdown at the top of a hill, but that's okay.
Yeah. So, you got the grinding stone potentially coming up. Nervous.
Yeah, I think that it's just scary. And it's confirmed that it's going to be harder than last year. So
good. Great.
That right? Doesn't that make you
There's
so
a lot
excited?
of sarcasm in that.
Makes me really flustered. I promise you, it's like real emotion coming through. But then after that, I like racing. It's really hard, and I like getting my butt kicked. Or kicking my own ass. I don't know. But Donner, it's on my calendar, and Silver Mountain, thankfully it's back. So Silver Mountain's like the clutch race of the year. So I'll probably do those, and then there might be a few others that I throw in. I'm just not really sure. I haven't really ridden my dirt bike in 5.5 months. So like a enduro bike. I just did a 5-day tour down in Baja on a 450, but it's just a little different type of riding. So
do you do any, like, would you be interested, or do you do any of the other races? Like, I don't know. Don't they have didn't you do the 24-hour one? What is that?
Oh yeah. Called? The 24-hour race. it's pretty basic. I think it's the 24 hours of Starvation Ridge.
There you go. That one.
That year it was the 25 hours. We were on daylight savings time.
Special.
Yay for the extra hour. It was great. I don't know that I could be. It took a lot to convince me to do that race, and I think I checked the box. But there are some other races, maybe in 2023, that I'm looking at. since we're down here in Mexico, there's some enduros in mainland
Ooh,
that
fun.
are like on my mind. Then there's Tecate. I've always wanted to do the Tecate Enduro in December, so that's on my mind. But again, that's a really long time from now.
Mm-hmm.
I doing some local races, some OMRA or local races would be good, just to like get my speed up and get my race brain in action. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of my weekends are very Dirtastic filled. Yeah. So and then there's some other things I'm working on that may lead me to some other races, but I don't know right in the moment. So
Cool.
yeah. Just take me to all the races you're going to. I'll say yes.
Saddle up.
Because I like your style.
Well, I think Josh and I are planning on doing, I think now that there's only 4 races in the West Coast, but the whole West series for the AMA Extreme is the plan so far.
Wait, which one? That's Paige, Donner, Silver.
Yep, Paige, Donner, Silver, and Billings.
Oh, right, Billings. Yeah. I think I just crossed that one off my calendar after what you told me about it last year with your droopy bars and your 9 attempts.
Man, my bike definitely took a beating between that one and Grinding Stone. Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, that's the other thing with Grinding Stone is I have a brand new bike that has 0 hours on it sitting in my garage. And I don't think I have. Yeah. And I already have an extra, well, I don't even want to talk about the part, but I have extra parts that will likely need to be replaced. Ready to go. Well, and I think I have like every type of protection you could put on a bike.
Yeah, I have it all too. Much needed. It's all worked.
Yeah.
What about like some of your training? Enduro Method.
Oh yeah, that.
So being out with your hand, what have you done to keep your body in shape so that when you hop back on the bike, you're, I guess,
ready to go
in a better place?
Well, Enduro Method. So my honest truth is I'm really, really bad at doing home workouts. So I have Enduro Method and I have all the things at my house to do it, and they crush me, which is good. But then I get really, I like look at the equipment and then I don't do it. So I, right after my surgery, I live in Hood River and there's a CrossFit gym called Viento CrossFit. So after my surgery, I went there and they really were incredible to help with my hands. I actually had both hands operated on. So for like a while, I couldn't use either hand. So I was like hitting the legs heavy, which is probably all gone now, but a lot of biking and a lot of lunges. And then down here in Mexico, I've been mixed between Enduro Method and CrossFit. There's a gym here and it's been cool. Like community is also really helpful. It's motivating. So I've been doing that and mountain biking, just a little bit of mountain biking, surfing, trying every form of exercise I can get. I'm taking it. So
how many days a week are you looking to, like, when you go to the gym or surf? Is it like every day? Do you schedule a rest day in there? How do you?
I've been doing one rest day because between the variety, I've been going to the gym in the mornings like 4 or 5 days a week, probably 4 days a week, because their programming is intense. Like I need a rest day in that 5 days. So I've been probably doing 4 days in the gym and then maybe a mountain bike ride on the day that I'm resting. Even though it's not really resting because it's different.
Active rest.
Active. And then like a lot of the days I've been in the gym, I've been surfing afterwards or winging. I'm learning how to wing. It's a new sport.
What's that?
It's a wind sport, and you You have to look it up. It's really fun, but it looks really dorky.
Oh, are you like maneuvering the thing like
yeah, you're on a
it?
board. Yeah, kind of, sort of at times. But you're on a board and there's a foil which lifts you up and then gains momentum. And then you have this wing that you hold on to versus like kiteboarding where you have the strings and they're like way above you. You have this thing in your hands. And actually Courtney Felt, fellow dirt biker, she's really good
also on the grit.
Ride with also us. On the grit. She's really good. She's kind of my hero. But yeah, so it's learning any new sport is like really exhausting. So I've been doing that a lot.
Cool.
So yeah, just really trying to do some big days and get my endurance up and not just like cardiovascular, but like having long days.
Yeah, totally.
Hard on the body. And the poor women on this last tour, I shouldn't say the poor women because that's bad marketing, but we were on the bikes for like 8 hours. Well, we were out for 8 hours a day. We were probably moving for 4 to 5 hours on the bikes, but like I really enjoy that. And I realized that maybe not everyone like
we're not
you and me. So
we're like, we're only at hour 6. What? We're only halfway.
I know through. It's like we have 2 more hours to go. Duh. So I do try to prep myself, my mind for that kind of
totally
training. And but I did do a workout today and it felt really heavy. So hopefully my dirt bike doesn't feel that heavy.
What about like race day nutrition? Do you do anything specific fueling wise when you're racing, or if you have a big event? I guess like grit, I know the answers to that, but or maybe even on this Baja tour when you're on the bike 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I kind of nerd out on this stuff. The grit was one challenge because we didn't have access to like all the things, but I had been prepping for that all summer. So I used to put, and maybe I will still like in a race scenario, but I'll put like powder in my Camelback that has calories, carbs, a little bit of protein. It's like a custom formula is what I was using. I know a lot of people use Hammer Nutrition, or there's a lot of options out there. But that is what I have historically used for anything that's 3 hours and over. During the grit, I didn't want to have like a sour backpack or carry the weight of the powder. So, because that's really gross. So I had been training, I'd been putting trace minerals in my water and just doing water and then having like goo pouches or like electrolyte gummy things. And on the grit, we were like able to kind of have lunch with 2 packets of tuna or whatever was available.
Cat food.
So that was one thing. Like in the summer when we do those long days, you can kind of like I'll pack a sandwich. My go-to sandwich is like oh my gosh, get ready. It's so good. I take whatever kind of bread, but I'm a fan of gluten-free cinnamon raisin. And I put it in egg whites in the morning, like you would with French toast, but I don't mix in all the things for French toast. I just do the egg whites and maybe some cinnamon. And then I cook it and I put a layer of some sort of nut butter and then like half a banana in it. And I make a French toast, PB and banana sandwich. And that hits the spot. It is like so good. It's not a gut bomb. I've learned I can't eat meat like any time before or during a ride. It does not work for me. I feel like I'm gonna die. I'm like sweating and breathing and like all these, it's just like a gut bomb. So yeah, it's not good. So that's like long days, but race day stuff, I try to really hydrate the days before, the week before, but I for some reason get really stressed out and then I stop drinking water. So it's a gamble if it happens. And then I make sure to eat I try to eat really clean the night before, carb load, nothing too fibrous. Because I don't want to have any issues with my belly in the morning, because we all know that nerves are legit, especially like going into Grinding Stone or Silver Mountain, like these extreme, any race you go into, if you're not nervous, I don't know what's wrong with you, but
I know, right?
the rest
We're
of
not
us are
human.
like dying. Right. So I try to keep it like rice and I really like sweet potatoes. And then the morning just depends on the time of the race. Like, if it's a morning race, I'll do carbs, like an oatmeal or something with banana, and I'll probably eat another banana. And then I don't drink coffee. I stopped drinking caffeinated coffee like a few years ago. So even before a race, I'll still have a little decaf, because that's what I drink. But I'll have like a couple sips, because it still gets me jacked up, and I don't need any extra of that. But then if like Silver Mountain last year was really tricky, because our race was in the afternoon. And so the first day was in the afternoon. So I think I had like a full egg, like something hearty, still easy to digest, but that I don't like that. I want to race in the mornings, because it's the whole eating thing that
I know
fires me up. But yeah, I try to keep it pretty simple, but I do nerd out, and most of the information I found that has benefited me, I looked up what do marathon runners do. That's where I got a lot of my information.
Yeah.
So it's been helpful. What do you do?
I mean, you're pretty much mimicking pretty much the same thing I do. During a race, the only thing I can think of that I did last year was the element. I was using the elements on the grip too, the super salty stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's like the cramp saver.
Yeah. But yeah, just trying to eat, before a race, if it's in the morning, like lighter food that I know is going to sit well in my stomach. And then, like what you said, staying hydrated, and exactly like this is not just the day before, it's that whole week leading up to it. And just, honestly, just being consistent with food and hydration, and and being prepared for when I'm out there. I've dug myself a hole a few times in races where I've not eaten and I should have, and I've waited too long. So like, reminding myself, or having a plan and sticking to it, to like, okay, stop, throw gel in, go again. Yeah. But yeah.
Right. Because nothing's worse. Like Grinding Stone last year, my arm was cramping up, and there's like nothing worse. And you're just like, dang it, I missed the window. Like I could have dealt with this.
Yeah. I did that at King of Motos 2 years ago, where I was like, I should have stopped. And now I'm like full cramping. It's like, now you're just like putting a Band-Aid on, rather than like, avoiding the thing that would cause you to put a Band-Aid on in the first place. But yeah. The French toast with the egg whites, I might have to steal that, just because you're getting some protein in there with the egg whites. And that's always the hard one about the banana nut butter sandwich. It's like, I love that. So
where's the protein?
I know. So I'm totally stealing that. We're going to have to.
Yeah. I mean, girl, I got you with the food. We got bowls. What else do we have? I'll keep giving you ideas.
Kalyn's introduced me to a lot of really good food and got me hooked on a lot of amazing things. She's taught me how to eat food.
So weird. I kind of do that. If people trust
the process.
I mean, Carrie eats out of bowls now too, like mixes food. I do it. I'm sorry. Or you're welcome. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're questioning, trust it. Trust Kalyn.
Trust the process.
Yeah. She will guide you. How about like any like training for like getting better at coaching? Do you do anything like that? Or like, how have you developed your coaching style, or develop your coaches when it comes to teaching people?
Well, having really good coaches to start made a difference for me. I mean, I had really great influence and people that taught me some really key things that are great to pass on. So that was in my learning process, and I didn't learn that long ago, relatively speaking. So it still feels somewhat fresh. I can still go through the process in my mind of like what it felt like, and also relay the information. Coaching other people helps me understand what people are coaching me to do. So like when they say to me, when I'm struggling, specifically Pat saying this, you need to do X. And I'm like, I'm doing it. And he's like, well, no, you're not. So that sort of thing. And then I see people doing it and I'm like, oh, here's that moment where do this. And I'm now telling them what Pat was telling me to do or whoever. And it makes sense because I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. And so I think really, and you probably see that, I'm guessing, with coaching with at the gym, like you learn a lot from seeing what people are doing and giving them cues and learning how to say the cues based on like what we're experiencing also. So I think that those are like some of the most helpful things that that help me coach other people. But then also, well, and I was like a snowboard coach, and so I had some training with that. I've had training in teaching people how to do hair. So once you kind of learn delivery methods or like ways to relate things to people. But then I've also paid for training, and that, I mean, I'm still trying to improve as a rider and a racer. I still want to, I have a long ways to go. So I want to learn. So I want to pay people to learn how to do things, and then seeing how it feels on that side of it, to be the person being coached and how it feels, and like their process is really helpful. So I think like there's just a lot of combination, and it's like any job, right? Like you go to trainings to get better at your job and practice. And so I think that's the most helpful. And with the coaches, I think that our coaching team is really strong. And I think that for the most part, everyone's been taught well. So thankfully they have a lot to add, and being all women, we do relate to each other. We're all different sizes and shapes and types of riders, but I think there is something different about being women. Maybe it's the way we receive information or the way we want to know why things need to be done, because that's just the process that we need. So I try to give the coaches a lot of freedom, and like, you're a great rider. You've learned a lot of these things. And I try to just help with cues to help each coach relay the information or to give better coaching. And of course we have like specific drills and things that we absolutely coach. But I do really like to see each of the coaches do her thing. We had Lori Taylor. She was on board in 2020 and part of 2021. So she is, she's an engineer and had really incredible ways of describing things and about the way the bike works. And she's also, I mean, she was like on the first women's ISDE team. She's incredible. So she's a really seasoned rider. She also knows how to break down certain elements and also how the bike works. And I think that was really, really incredible for so many of the coaches who got to experience working with her. And then for me to help pass that on and to understand a lot more about motorcycles that I've never been taught. So Lori definitely gave Dirtastic a lot in the coaching side of things. Yeah, it's really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, speaking from my experience, I've gone to a handful of clinics just to improve my own writing. But the best thing for me as a female writer was learning from women in the way that we communicate, but also seeing examples and seeing other women perform the things that I'm trying to do or that you're trying to teach in such a digestible way. Like, it's like, oh, I actually can almost replicate that. Like, that's something closer to what I'm going to be able to potentially replicate than like, right. Seeing, comparing to like a dude that can do that 12 o'clock wheelie and ride it out for miles on end. It's like, okay, well, what's step 0.4? Like, right. Throw it back. Like, that's super neat. But like, how did you get there? And like, not step 4, because I'm not there yet, but step 1.
I need like all the steps just to get to step 1.
Yeah, exactly. So that was super cool for me when I took my first or went to my first Dirtastic fundamental or session and then Enduro session. And then the other thing, like what you were saying about Pat, like, he may explain to you, and I don't know if this happens with you and Pat, but definitely for me and Josh, like Josh might say something to me and I'm like, it's him. So it's like, screw you. Shut up. Whereas right. Like, and versus if you were to say something to me or another female, like I'm just maybe I'm more receptive, and maybe this is just a Dane thing, but being in a setting where I'm there to learn, I'm there to be taught, I'm going to listen rather than like in the middle of a trail and I'm stuck on something, I'm already frustrated. Just do this. It's like,
and then your partner says, just do this. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could be like, if Pat said it, I'm total flat spaz. But if Josh said it, I'd be like, okay, what? So, and I think it's because we're not going to like spaz out on the people that we aren't that close to. Although I have to say, I'm sure there's a few other men that have experienced moments of me, but hey, bless them for, or whatever. I'm not really into that, but man, they had some patience with me. And so thank you. You know who you are if you're listening to this. I promise. Yeah.
But just like setting that context of like, I'm here to learn. Okay, I'm all ears. I'm all listening, like, right. Let's do this. And we might be saying the same exact thing as somebody else has told you in the past, but we're just providing you like a platform for you to actually channel that and learn it in repetition and do it again, and then get immediate feedback.
Right. And I think it's also a space where it feels okay to fail, right? Yep, like
100%.
When you sign up to learn, you're also know that you're signing up to learn. So you're going to hopefully be pushing yourself and trying something that you might not have ever been willing to try or not ever thought of or whatnot. So like you're going to fall probably a little bit, and it's okay. Where I think that's a big thing at Dirtastic is a lot of women are like so nervous to fall in front of each other, and we try to just eliminate that at the beginning. Like, look, you're here to learn. You're gonna fall. That's okay. Get back up and do it again. Like, we're all doing it. So, and I know for me personally, like when I'm playing around with like you or other coaches and we're just trying stuff like, hey, have you done this before? Mm-hmm. It's like there's less pressure to perform, where it's like other instances I might be too scared to try something because I don't want to fall in front of someone or whatever. Like, having the space and being okay to make mistakes is a huge part of being coached and coaching.
And going back to that confidence piece that you talked about earlier too, is like, okay, well, she just did it. Shoot, can I do it?
I can do it.
Yeah. Like, okay.
If she can do it, I can do it. Yeah.
So I think, that's definitely a special thing about Dirtastic and all the events that you offer, for sure. So do you have any other things you want to add? Where can people find you? Where can people find out more information about the upcoming events of the year and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, those things. The shameless plug part. Okay. So dirtastic.com. It's dirtastic.com. All of the information should be there. If it's available, it should be there. The event schedule is listed under schedule, and it says like clinics and events and schedule. That's listed. There is an asterisk, subject to change, because you never know what's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. But I actually, once we set something, I don't cancel, rain or shine. It's kind of the way it goes. COVID was an exception, but hopefully we never go through that again. And then let's see what else. There's sessions. I just released a tour today for Costa Rica and in 2023. I know, it's exciting. And
is
then
that with the Costa Rica Unlimited?
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll be going there and next January. So that's a little ways out, but we're starting to book it now. We have 11 spots on the trip, and it's gonna be a good time. So there's that. The main event should be released like so soon. I'm just waiting on a couple details on my end and on other people's end. So that's coming up in the next week. That'll be a big one. And then all of our events will be posted on there. Dirtastic on Facebook is just at Dirtastic. We're on Instagram. That's probably where the most action happens, where I'm interacting the most. And that's at DIRT_ASTIC. And so that's where you can find me. You can message me everywhere. You can email me through the website. I'm pretty accessible.
When you send out, because I get your newsletter, and Dirtastic sends great newsletters, and they're not super spammy. You don't get them like every day. Like now you're starting to get Enduro Method ones every Monday.
Well, I do love your Enduro Method posts or blog. They're like blogs, really, like the newsletters. They're really great. I've been enjoying them, and Josh is like getting little messages from me. I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. But they are really good. So mine are like nothing like that. They are.
But will you release like tickets and events? Like when you release the main event stuff, will you send an email?
Yes. So like yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, I sent out the release to Costa Rica, and then I posted it on social media today. So I try to do it at least the day before. Yeah. And just to give people on the email list a little heads up, because I mean, you have taken the time to subscribe, and really you should be the first ones to know. I can't make promises that always happens, but I do my best. And I like you said, I don't send out a whole lot of emails. I try to keep it to the point.
They're intentional.
And yeah, they're intentional. They're generally loaded and packed. So scroll all the way through, because I don't want you to miss something. But yeah, I try to send those out first.
Cool. So subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe on dirtastic.com.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to add before you go back to the beach?
Before I go back to the beach. Oh, aren't you jealous? I'm sorry. Yeah. At least you got warm. All that talk about Paige got you flustered?
Yeah, I was sweating.
Took off a layer. What would I say? I'm stoked to thank you, Dane, for inviting me to be on Enduro Method and the podcast. And I think I'm excited for 2022. I love, it's great working with you. We do a lot of cool stuff together, coaching with you, coaching with all the women that are on the team. We have a very cool team this year. And I just look forward to what's to come. Let's keep the momentum going for women in this industry, and I think we'll see some really cool change. And it's like I said before, it's a good time to be a woman in this sport. So
Yeah.
I hope to be on more podcasts and share what I'm doing in the future. And yeah, let's get Dirtastic.
Oh, there it
Yeah.
is.
Had to come out sometime.
Well, this has been super fun. We'll definitely have to do a part 2. I couldn't agree more. The stoke for women in the dirt bike world is high, and I think it's getting even higher and higher and higher. And so excited for all the events upcoming this year, the races, events, all of it, meeting people. That's the other cool thing about Dirtastic is all the connections you'll make. All the new lady riders that you'll get to ride with. We're all lady rides that have been organized through meeting people in Dirtastic. So lots of things to look forward to, and in just the more and more women in this industry, in this sport. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Kalyn. We'll let you get back to your beach and sunshine time. And we'll definitely have to do a round 2 and go find her, go seek her out on the interwebs for more information and how to get involved.
Thanks, Dane.
Thanks.